All right, hi. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I plan what I am going to make for TPT. I am a high school social studies teacher, so I make social studies products. But what I want to start by saying is you really should be making what you teach, or at least start making what you teach, and then you can move on to other things. So for me, I teach this year pre-AP World History and Geography, which is a College Board course. So I got kind of lucky in the sense that when it first came out, when I first started teaching it, there was really nothing on TPT. So it was not saturated, although I'll get back to that in a little bit. And when you get thrown into a new prep, it can be really overwhelming. So teachers who got given this new prep had nothing given to them from prior teachers because it was a new course. And a lot of people were really overwhelmed. So that helped me because I was making products that people really needed. And there were products that I could use in my classroom. So it's stuff that I was teaching. I could learn, okay, that question didn't go over so well with the students. Maybe I can tweak it. If you're a veteran teacher or you've been making products, you really can make things that you're no longer teaching. So for example, I'm almost done designing that pre-AP course. I have just a few lessons left and then I'll be done with the entire course. And I'm gonna move on to world history, which is not something I'm teaching right now, but is something I've taught in the past. And I love world history, so it's something that I find interesting. So when I'm making the lessons and doing the research, I'm also enjoying myself. So I start with a calendar. I made a cute little paper one, but lots of people like digital. You can do whatever you want. And I literally just write what I think I'm working on or what I plan to work on that day. So having a plan is, for me, important. I like checklists and I like paper things, but you do you. And then you're gonna do better if you have product lines or something that you can bundle. So for example, a unit. So maybe 6 days worth of work or whatever. You have all the lessons and then some sort of assessment. For each product that I create, also have a checklist, but this again is just me because of who I am as a person. And I'll go maybe more over, make a different video on the checklist about like for each product, what steps do I make? But just in general, I would, pick a unit and then make the entire unit. And I sell the lessons individually, like one day at a time, but then I'll also bundle them. And people really like bundles, especially if they're cohesive. If you are doing a bundle, then I personally like to kind of change it up. So I'll have some days that are like PowerPoint and lecture, maybe one group project, or I like to have for every key concept, I try to have at least one thing that could technically be used with a sub. Not because I think that teachers are gonna have subs all that often, but because that gives the teacher a day to catch up on planning if students are independently reading, and independent reading is essential in social studies, I think. Especially the course that I'm doing, it's very heavy on being able to analyze sources, primary, secondary sources. So the students should be able to work independently. It gives teachers time to plan and catch up and grade and do the million of other things that we need to do. You'll hear this a lot if you watch TPT videos, but teachers are time poor. So I try to give at least one lesson in a unit that gives teachers kind of a day of stepping back and letting students do work. And then like other things, like I just made an escape room for the first time for one of my units, or just different activities to change it up. I think monotony in social studies is common, so it's important to kind of switch it up. I keep looking over here because I have a little list of things on my laptop. But yeah, so that's where I start. So a key concept or unit or whatever you call it in your course. So if you're doing the French Rev, then however many days you have paced for that for your county will probably be similar to other counties. And then you can make each individual lesson and then bundle them. I would not worry if you feel like that content is saturated. That's what I was gonna say on TPT. And that's because, first of all, a lot of the stuff on TPT sucks. I said it. But second of all, how you teach and how you design your products and how you assess DBQs, whatever you're doing, is different from how any other teacher teaches. Even if you think in your department right now, the way that you like to give information to students or assess students or work with students is not going to be the same normally as the person next to you who's doing the exact same content. We're all just different. So if you feel like something's saturated, the way that you design a lesson is going to be perfect for some people when they don't have that out there yet. Also, a lot of stuff is outdated. Districts are oftentimes updating their standards, or states, I guess I would say, are updating their standards. So some of the stuff out there is just old. And as new technology comes out and just new styles, even literally even just styles, are going to be different. And people like different things. So I would not be concerned about saturation. Obviously, if you're making a product, you want to provide a product that is, you know, different from things on the market. So I wouldn't be creating something that's exactly the same. Definitely look up what you're about to create, see what's already there. But again, your style is going to be different. So I wouldn't get too concerned or too caught up into that. Another thing I would say is if I'm planning on making, let's say I'm going to go back to the French Revolution. If I make a product, let's say it's a reading on, I don't know, whatever. I try, although I know I get really excited and I just want to get it uploaded, I try to give it a day between making the product and listing the product so I can give it a review with fresh eyes. I always catch little mistakes, or when I go back at it, I'm like, man, I really thought this was a period's worth of work, but now looking at it, I probably need to add like a couple wrap-up questions or embed a couple more DBQs. But having like a fresh set of eyes really does help, especially if you're making like a PowerPoint and a worksheet, for example, like two things, make sure they really flow together, that type of thing. So that's how I plan, like generally, how am I going to make my products? I will literally, for pre-AP, I went in order from the very beginning of the course all the way through the course. I'm on my 3rd year of it and I'm just now writing the last lessons. So because of COVID and everything else, I never have gotten to the end of the course. It's just how it worked. So I'm getting that up. And then I'll bundle key concepts, which is basically the same thing as a unit. And then once I bundle, or once I've created like an entire quarter's worth, so 9 weeks, I'll also do a 9-week bundle. And those do great. Bundles are my main moneymaker. And then, so I have the first 3 quarters up. I'm almost done with the last key concepts and I'll get quarter 4 up. And then I'm gonna go to world history. And I might, because I'm recording this in January, I might look at my state's pacing calendar or my district's pacing calendar and pick up where we're at so that maybe I'll make the stuff I'm making this spring will actually sell. But you might want to start at the beginning of a course, way back in, for us, August. So it really depends, but I'm gonna go in order regardless of where I start and just power through it. I have some weird stuff on my TPT. I don't want to call them weird stuff. I have things that like don't seem that relevant. Like I made something for my 5th grader and I was like, well, I put a lot of time and effort into this, so I'm gonna throw it up there. It doesn't do well because that's not what my shop is about. People who come to my shop are going to be people who have a need for high school, secondary social studies items. So I do recommend trying to stay in your niche in the general sense, like I'm high school social studies. Now, whatever I do in high school social studies, if I want to do psychology or if I want to do economics, then I can. And I think that people in my shop will still be in their same niche, but I'm kind of rambling now. So if you guys want to see more on my checklists or on my little planner, then comment. Should I do what my 10-year-old does? Comment, like, and subscribe, guys. He has a fake YouTube channel that he makes videos for. But that's going to be it, guys. Thanks.